This morning's guest drives 3 hours to work. Meet him. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Advanced Audiology and Hearing Aid Center off of Highway 17 and 6th Avenue South, across from the main post office in North Myrtle Beach. We're focused on a mission of public service, and we're visiting with Senator Dick Elliott of Senate District, is it 28?
28.
28 up here in this area. And of course you serve a lot of the viewers in our area, up into Marion, even into Marlboro County.
The district covers parts of Horry, Marion, Dillon, and Marlboro County.
Dillon as well.
It goes all the way almost up to Cheraw, South Carolina, up Highway number 9. Number 9 is sort of the center line of the district.
Right, right. Well, that's tremendous. A lot of our viewers in Marlboro County and even up into Chesterfield. Chesterfield's actually in the Charlotte TV market. Interestingly, it's in the Charlotte TV market, but Marlboro is here in this area, obviously, and surely Dillon and Marion and Horry. That's fascinating, Dick. Do you I guess you have to travel up into that area quite a bit to see your constituency.
It's a large district, but I enjoy the travel. I enjoy the diversity of the people that I serve.
Right.
It's a lot of difference between the ocean front and the Grand Strand.
Right.
Up through Marion, Dillon, and Marlboro counties. It's a different society, different culture, but I enjoy meeting all the people and working with them.
That's probably one of the longest districts in the out of the 46 senators serving in the state Senate.
I believe this probably is the longest from one side to the other. I'm sort of envious of those senators that have a district that they can ride a bicycle across in about 20 minutes, you know. My district takes me about an hour and 45 minutes to go from one side to the other.
Is that right?
So it takes a lot of time out there to do small things like helping somebody that they need my service, my presence for 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
It's often a 3.5 hour, 4 hour task to get to see them and chat with them.
That's fascinating. You know, Senator Cleary was with us a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about his district, I guess formerly Senator Ravenel's district, going from more or less 501 down into Charleston, so much like your own, quite a bit of area to travel.
Both Senator Ray Cleary and Senator Ravenel are great friends of mine, and I recall Senator Ravenel used to say that his district sort of went away at high tide. It was sort of like a cigar, and high tide, it didn't have a district column.
Oh, yeah.
So Ray has a lot of that territory, and he has the same makeup, similar to what I have.
Yeah.
Mine goes along to the North Carolina, South Carolina line.
Of course, that's exactly right. How exciting. Are you originally from the area? Do you mind if we call you Dick?
Dick would be fine.
Okay,
certainly.
Instead of Senator Elliott, it's a Tuesday morning. I hope you had a good Labor Day yesterday.
Had a great time and with the family, and so we had a wonderful holiday.
Great, good, good. Are you originally from the area, Dick?
I grew up in Kershaw County, outside of Camden.
Okay.
And most of my family and relatives still live in that area. I had one brother and 5 sisters. 3 of my sisters are still alive, and several of my brother-in-laws and other members of relatives and so forth. Sure. Most of them still live in the Camden area.
In the Kershaw County area.
That's correct.
That's fascinating. You said you're one of 7, Dick?
One of 7 members in my family.
That's fascinating.
And the amazing thing about it is, one of the things that motivated my entire family was the fact that my parents, while they did not have the opportunity to get a high school education even, all of our children got high school and college education. One of my sisters got her doctorate degree. She was county superintendent of education, and most of my sisters performed in the business world and excelled because of the push from our parents to give them a good education, encourage them to go as far as they could in education.
That's fabulous. They really made a commitment at an early age.
They did. And
I mean, for y'all at an early age to make that commitment, for y'all to really focus on education.
And I guess growing up in a household like that and encourage education, and something else that my parents encouraged, we go to church on Sunday. And if we got out of line, they had certain ways that they would remedy the situation.
Yeah, yeah.
But those are some of the lessons early on that we learned. And as it relates to education today, At the end of a wonderful political career, if I could look back and say, I failed in everything I tried to accomplish, with exception, I did not fail our children, our youth in education,
right.
and I did not fail our seniors in the handicap, in the golden years, in the handicap period, then I will feel proud about having been a part of our process in this country, this
Absolutely.
state.
Those are great words, Jack. Those are great words. What are some of the most striking memories you have of your youth? Was it just that, being in church and thinking about ways your parents would keep you all in line, having 7 kids? What's that age, I mean, the youngest to the oldest there?
There was probably about 20 years difference.
Is that right?
In
Wow.
the 7 children.
Right.
And things that I remember most was things about interaction of being with my classmates in school.
Sure.
Playing basketball in high school and being on a state baseball championship team.
Is that right?
And the wonderful time we had with athletics. While we were required both at school and home to study those books,
Right.
it was athletics, I guess, that really motivated me to make sure that I studied the books and enjoyed school in the meantime.
Right, and baseball was the one for you.
Baseball for me it was. When I went to college later, then I thought about playing baseball, but then I decided that maybe I should devote my full attention to the books and not to baseball. And so we didn't play athletics in college. I did play some golf in college, but no athletics from a college sanction standpoint.
Sure, sure. What originally brought you to the North Myrtle Beach area, Dick?
When I left Clemson, college in those days, now university, I was looking for a different life. And my parents had a farm and they had a build supply business, and it was hard work. And I was looking for a different life, and the reason I went to school. And with the electrical engineering, I thought about maybe going with Duke Power, DuPont, or some of those companies.
Sure.
But then as I interviewed with them, and they told me what kind of awesome salary that I could make, and I would have 10 minutes in the morning break and 10 minutes in the afternoon, I'd have 2 weeks vacation here, and all of these benefits, I said, wow, you know, if I went in business for myself,
Right.
I used my time more effectively, and I worked more than 40 hours a week. Maybe I could accomplish a lot more than I could working for someone else.
You really thought that at age 21 or 22? I mean, that came through your mind.
I did
That's
think
fabulous.
in those terms, and so therefore I came to the beach as a lot of college students came to, as we called it then, OD. That's where the shagging was taking place, and the birthplace of the shag, and it was taking place back in the late 50s.
Sure.
When I was in college. And so we'd come down, drive down with some buddies from Clemson during the weekend. And during that period, I met a elderly gentleman that was possibly 80 at the time that wanted to sell a real estate firm that I had been renting rooms from.
Is that right?
And so one day we engaged in a conversation. He said, I'm ready to retire. Why don't you buy this business? And so I thought about it for a couple of weekends, and later we engaged in a more serious conversation, and we had a handshake. I bought his business. He operated until I left Clemson, and I came down and went into real estate business, and never looked back and never regretted it.
That's fabulous. What year was that, Dick?
That was in 1959.
In 59. So you all are about to celebrate your 50th anniversary.
My wife, Ann, we've been married for 46 years. So it's been a wonderful marriage. Like most marriages, we've had our differences, but you know it takes 2 people to argue, and it takes normally the 2 people to settle that argument. Early on, we learned when we had the bumps in the road to get through them, and get through them in a hurry and move on.
Yeah.
And so we had a wonderful marriage, 3 wonderful children, and we're just so excited about the life we've had together.
Absolutely. And of course, you and Ann met not long after you founded Elliott Beach Rentals, was it? Elliott.
Actually, I met Ann long before I moved to the beach. I met Ann while she was a senior in high school. And I had graduated from high school, and before I went to college, and she had a relative that lived nearby. And she came over to my home one Sunday afternoon with a relative, and really she and her cousin wanted to borrow my car. And of course, after that discussion, I thought she was an attractive young lady.
Yeah, yeah.
And I told her that maybe I could go to the movie with them.
Oh, yeah,
and,
yeah.
So that started a romance, and we sort of. She went to Limestone College. And
right.
I went on off to college, so we got back together about the time we were juniors in college, and
sure.
We renewed that romance after a few dates back when she was senior high school.
That is a story I've never heard, Dick, nor an everyday occurrence where a woman wants to borrow your car, and that opens the door for you all to have a relationship.
Well, that was the beginning of several dates in high school, and a wonderful marriage ultimately.
Oh, absolutely.
So
yeah.
It's been a great life.
That is fantastic. When of course, you think about the growth in this area, and obviously, again, your service in the state Senate serves a very large area, but your early years of business, from the late 50s through the 60s into the 70s, now into the next century. Think about some of the changes in the North Myrtle Beach area over the last 50 years, Dick. What really stands out in your mind?
When I first came to the beach area back in the late 50s on weekends, you could travel down the beach and you see a whole lot more vacant lots than you saw buildings.
Right.
Both from the point in Cherry Grove all the way through South Myrtle Beach. And during the period in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s until today, you see that reversal. And very seldom now can you find a vacant lot that has not been developed over the years.
Right.
And having had the opportunity to see the Grand Strand develop almost from the very beginning of real growth to where it is today has been a marvelous and exciting venture.
Oh, yeah.
And further, having had the opportunity to be a part of that growth has really been something amazing to behold and be a part of.
Oh, I bet. Absolutely. And of course you talked about, and that has been a dramatic reversal. Even our editorial this past week was about moderation in the Herald, It was about moderation, and oftentimes there's fears of even too much growth. But of course you've seen it probably go up and then slow back down and then go up again over the last 50 years. You've seen quite a bit of a change in the area.
Actually, Greg, we need to get a handle and set the pace on how fast we want to grow, and what area do we want to grow, and what type community do we want in the next decade, in the next 20, 30, 40 years. And unless we get a tight grip on some kind of planned, focused growth, we can build ourselves into an inescapable trap by which the quality of life in the Grand Strand community can actually recede. None of us want to see that happen.
No, no.
If you recall over the years, I have the opportunity, take the opportunity to go to Florida in the wintertime, look at that really warm southern sun occasionally.
It's there.
I've seen Miami Beach, for instance. I've seen it grow itself into that inescapable trap.
Oh, yeah.
In recent years, we've seen the South Strand, South Beach area in Miami. We've seen it come back with a different type of growth, a new direction with entertainment, this sort of thing. But it actually went over the hill and started decaying.
Oh, yeah.
Terribly bad about 20 years ago. And it had to go through that renewal process.
Right.
But if we do our job, if we do our homework today in the Grand Strand, we can prevent ourselves from getting to that decaying city. I think we're too wise, we're too visionary, we're too smart to ever see that happen. But we've got to be on guard that we don't let that happen.
Speaking of that, Dick, Fortune magazine, just one of the issues last month highlighted Miami and the condo market there, that they had a 42-month inventory right now of unsold condominiums, inventory on the market, that they had 8,000 condos coming on the market in 2007 and another 12,000 condos coming on the market. They're already under construction in 2008. So they're adding 20,000 more condos owned an existing 42 months of inventory down there in Miami. It is very scary in certain markets to see. I'm sure glad we're not in any position like that, but surely a lot happening right now.
That area, once before, there was a lot of bankruptcies in Lauderdale, Miami area.
Right.
It was not unusual to travel in that area and see high-rises, half, two-thirds, three-fourths complete. They couldn't market the property. They overbuilt.
Right.
And it took them about 6 or 7 years to overcome that process where some of those buildings ended up being demolished and restarted.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them were finally completed. But they apparently now have in the front end of an overbuild process there. And hopefully that our investors here will recognize when the market is filled to capacity as far as people wanting to buy.
Right.
And we won't have those buildings that go a year and 2 years or longer. Age-wise before they can be marketed and get occupied.
Right.
It's just not good for our community to see vast areas of unoccupied buildings.
Absolutely, Dick. You've been able to see. That's the great thing about service in a long area, or living in an area for a long period of time, is to see some of the great ups, also some of the downs, and then to know ups are around the bend. So,
one of the great things, Greg, about having a wonderful business career, as well as a long political career, is the fact you have seen from generally a starting point, and you've seen the mistakes and the progress that we've made. And hopefully as a result of that background of long term in this area, we can be a part of helping prevent the negatives that we allow ourselves to grow into from this point on into the future.
Right.
And that's one of the good things about knowing from whence we came and being able to decide we want better in the future.
Yes. Dick, I've got to read this. I saw this yesterday when doing a little research on you. 100% attendance each day the House was in session for 10 years. You served in the State House from 1982 to 92. You had 100% attendance each day the House was in session for 10 years. Have you had half that good a track record in the State Senate?
I've continued when I moved from the House. I moved to the Senate 15 years ago.
Right.
And I've continued that perfect attendance for
come on.
a total of 25 years. We've never missed a day. Every day the Senate or the House has been in session, we've been there on the job. Now we haven't felt the best every day.
Right.
But by the same token, when I was elected to the House and then to the Senate, I made a commitment to do the very best job that I could. And you can't do a good job unless you're on the job working.
Right.
And that's what I promised the voters, that I would do the very best I could. And I can't do that if we're in session in Columbia and I'm not participating, I'm not having input, I'm not representing those that I was elected to serve. So I do have the 25, probably unheard of, it's certainly unheard of in this state and possibly in the nation of somebody having 25.
We ought to track that down, Dick, on a national level, because I bet 25 years of service, particularly having to travel 3 hours to actually perform those services, 25 years of service and having 100% attendance, that's fantastic.
Sometimes I tell some of my employees that get careless and hang out and don't come into work, I tell them, I said, folks, I know you can make an excuse of all types to satisfy yourself.
Right.
But my job is 3 hours one way. And I'm on the job working every day. And I said, you made a commitment when you were hired to be here working. And you can't give me your best performance if you lay out and you're not on the job working. So please be here. It's not impossible. And I relate to them whatever the number of years that I've had perfect attendance in the General Assembly.
Right.
And wow, they can't believe it. And I said, well, didn't your grandmother get sick? Didn't this happen?
Yeah.
So, and I said,
death,
all of those things have probably happened.
Right.
Maybe deaths of friends. But if I couldn't come back to the funeral on Wednesday, then I'd go to the wake maybe on Tuesday night to meet with the family. You do all kinds of things to fulfill your commitments and be honest with yourself and be honest with those that you make a commitment to.
That is tremendous, Dick. I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that. 25 years of 100% attendance. I wonder if there's anything like that in Washington.
I would. I'm not
Strom
sure.
Thurmond, for instance, or a Fritz Hollings, or from this state, or a Jesse Helms, or otherwise, on a national level, if there was ever any attendance records like that.
It would probably be almost impossible because of the need to travel back home and for real local issues and state issues for members of the Congress or the Senate in Washington. It would probably be impossible, a lot more difficult than it would be in Columbia.
Ed Young was with us last year, and we were thinking about, obviously, service in a large area, but then that desire to leave your local level and travel to Washington. Did you ever think about possibly running for a national office, running for a service either in the 6th District or the 1st District or whichever district at the time?
I did, Greg. The 6th District Congressional Office was open back in the 70s. I looked at that opportunity, and then having flown in and out of Washington so many times, trying to help the counties. That time we were involved in county government, and earlier as a member of the Grandstand Water and Sewer Authority, trying to get grants to put in water and sewer facilities for the county. Every time I go to Washington, I was real happy to see Washington over my shoulder as I was leaving.
As you were coming home.
So as I thought about it, it was a fleeting thought, because I really do not like to stay in or around Washington. It's just not my cup of tea. And so for that reason alone, it's not an environment in which I want to work.
Right. It is almost a 3-hour drive for you each way to Columbia.
3 hours. I stop and fill up with gas. And take a walk around the car. And it's about, I allow usually 3 hours to get there.
Have you ever had any close calls on the trips? Any crazy drivers coming near you over 25 years? Any things that really caught you off guard on a trip, or any memorable experiences on that 3-hour trip?
Not really. I never had an accident on the way, and while I've traveled back and forth to Columbia, every series of roads that you can possibly travel. In recent years, I've generally confined the travel the best I could to 4-lane highways and take the safer route, even though it might take a few minutes longer. And then you watch out for the fellow motorists out there, and you drive for both of them, you as well as the other driver. And so we've been fortunate, have not had any kind of accident.
I remember driving to Durham one day, and here on my left, I'm in the right lane, here comes Luke Rankin on my left and waving as he drives by. Have you all ever carpooled together, either you or any other state house or state senate members, when you all are traveling up there?
We don't for Maury County, not very often at all, because once you get to Columbia, we live at different places normally, and we need a car there. So unless we had a car and left at some place in Columbia, we need ground transportation during the week up there. Now, some of those senators and House members from the more urban areas like Charleston, Greenville, they can carpool because they live a half a mile from each other sometimes. So they carpool. It's difficult for us in Horry County to carpool.
We got about a minute, Dick, and I want to talk a little bit about the Northeastern Strategic Alliance. We may have to talk. We may need to talk some about that if you're willing to come back and be with us tomorrow to talk a little more. Of course, transportation. When we're thinking about all that driving, transportation has got to be something big on your mind.
Transportation has been, continues to be, and will be a major problem, not only on my mind, but it's a major problem for the entire region. The NISA that you referenced is a vital tool to help us keep in place I-73. We need to get number 9, 4-lane to I-95 and points beyond. We need to continue and complete Carolina Bays Parkway on the south end. We need to extend Carolina Bays on the north end and connect with Highway 74 in North Carolina. There's several other area roads that we must upgrade and do it on a short order. So yes, highways, transportation is a very vital part of what we got to be about if we're going to keep the quality of life that we want and desire in this community. And we have a lot of work yet to be done. That's
tremendous. You also mentioned your brother-in-law, I think, heads up the Highway Commission. Is that correct?
My brother-in-law was recently elected as chairman of the Reformed Highway Commission. He's been on there 3 terms before this particular term, and he's been instrumental over the years. And I was in the room when he made the motion to build the Conway bypass.
Tremendous.
He was also part of the team that joined with us on another term to build the Carolina Bay Parkway.
Great.
So Bobby Jones from Camden, South Carolina, my brother-in-law, has been an instrumental role to help us, played an instrumental role to help us in Horry County get a backlog of roads in place over the last 15 years.
That's tremendous.
Been a tremendous help to us, and his job is not completed yet.
Good words. Dick, would you be willing to come back and spend a little time with us tomorrow morning here at Advanced Audiology?
Greg, I'd be happy to, and serving in the public is such an exciting event. I'd just simply like to, you're such a wonderful host to chat with, and I'd be delighted to.
Good. Okay, great. Thanks so much. Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Senator Dick Elliott coming up next. Think about that, 100% attendance in the House. Each day it was in session for 10 years. 100% attendance in the State Senate for each day it was in session for 15 years. That doesn't happen often. Those thrilling experiences, as well as talking about seniority in the State Senate, we'll get into that tomorrow. I hope you'll come back and be with us, as well as hearing Dick talk about his amazing wife and 3 kids. Come on back tomorrow. Carolina People, Part 2 with Senator Dick Elliott.